Perfect. Well, welcome everyone. As I've said, we've got a nice small group so we can interact nicely today. And today's presentation is about balancing a busy business, or maybe not so busy, but balancing a business or cleaning around family commitments. And it's great to see people here today with their family in tow as well. So before I start, I want you to all have a little bit of a think about what stage your business baby is at. So not your real life babies, your actual business baby. So when you have a business, it is like having another child. And I want you to think about what stage you're at. So is it a baby? So if you've got quite a startup business, you've got extreme growth, but everything is reliant on you. You have to carry everything. You have to do everything. You have to feed it. You have to literally change its nappy. And that business is absolutely reliant. If you take a moment off, then that's going to fall apart. Or are you more like your toddler here, grinning very happily, learning fast, but learning how things work? And actually, a toddler can be even harder work, because once that business starts going a little bit faster, suddenly you get swept along just like you do with a toddler. Or are we more at the child stage in the middle here, where they're starting to learn strategies? They're starting to learn processes. Your children, by about the age of 7 or 8, they can probably get themselves dressed. And it's the same with your business. You could probably take a day off and someone could cover. There's lots of things that go on with your business, and you can start to give them to other people. Your business can start to cope a little bit on its own. As we get to the teenager stage, your business is independent mostly, but needs a lot of persistent and consistent leadership. And if any of you have got teenagers, you will know teenagers are inherently selfish. And if you leave them alone for a minute, they tend to do really naughty things or just push the boundaries a bit. And the same will happen in your business. If you take your eye off the ball, then things will start getting pushed, quality will go out the window. And that's when you've got a teenager. It can be good, but it can go off track as well. And finally, as it grows up to an adult stage, holding her fingers up there, it runs independently of you. And you just need to do an occasional check-in from your pool in France, as we all see Diane doing. So I'm going to ask you to come off mute a second here, guys. What stage are your businesses at? So Sophie, you're off mute. Where are you? What age are you?
So my business is 10 years old. I can leave it for a day. I'm finding that leaving it, if I go on holiday, things go a little bit riot. I think they think cats away will play. But yeah, I need to sort of learn how to make it run without me more day to day and get the processes in place to do that. So working hard.
Are you like a pre-teen at the moment? You're like an older child.
Pre-teen, yeah. Does that mean the worst is yet to come, Louise? Because I don't think I can take it anymore.
Every stage is different. No, I don't think the worst is yet to come. What about you, Lauren? Where are you at?
Toddler. Definitely toddler. Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Because I was thinking like baby, but I'm about 2.5 years, and I do have staff, so it's not all dependent on me. Like I can be sick and they can, some of them can, but I don't have enough staff that they can all cover, and I definitely don't have any office staff. So, and I'm rushed off my feet the way you are with the toddler. Like I'm rushed off my feet. It's running all over the place. I'm just too fast.
I think I find toddlers are the hardest stage, because it's just not. Absolutely not. What about you, Lee Marie?
Yeah, Lee's fine. I'd say maybe toddler as well. Because before I went on maternity leave, it was all me. I did everything. I did all the cleaning. But then when I found out I was pregnant, I started training people to work my jobs, and now I'm taking a bit more of a step back than I was, so I'm progressing a little bit.
You get there, so you know where you're getting to, but I'm guessing I'm still very hands-on then.
Yeah, I never thought I'd have people working for me. I always thought I'd do it all myself, but because I was pregnant, I was like, I need to. So it seems to be growing a bit more of a proper business now, whereas before it was just me doing everything.
But what I want you to recognise, guys, as I move on to this next one, which it isn't doing nicely for me, is what are you juggling? Okay. How easy would it be to be brilliant at business if that was all you had to do? So what I want you to recognize, the reason I was asking you about how old, hopefully this will flick back to the last picture, how old your business was in terms of a developmental stage. Actually, a lot of us have got children of varying ages. You might have 2 toddlers, or in Lee's case, you've got a young baby there, plus an extra business. And the business really is like an extra child. And I think sometimes a lot of us lose sight of how much we are actually juggling, and that if you've already got 3 children, you've now just added a 4th one into the mix. So before I even go any further, I want us all to recognize how many things we've all got going on and congratulate ourselves on coping so far. The fact that we've all got to this stage is a miracle, quite frankly. And then the next step I want us all to do together and in your own minds is kind of forgive ourselves, because if you're anything like me, I sometimes forget important stuff, and sometimes I get it wrong, and definitely I emotionally react badly sometimes. Now, I tend to do that in my own head now, but I think sometimes we all know that we could be better business people, and if that's all we had to do, I think it would be a lot easier. So what I think we have to do sort of here as a group right now is kind of forgive ourselves sometimes for getting it a bit wrong. When it's all too much and we're juggling too much, it's okay. So yeah, just allow yourself a few moments to say, it's okay. Sometimes it goes a bit wrong. So before we really start on the practical tips, what I'm going to do is look at the most important part, some of the mindsets. So particularly at the early stages, when there's no systems and no processes, it's really hard to decide what to do. You will face lots and lots of different decisions, and you have to decide what the best conclusion is for yourself and your business. And what I want to point out, first of all, is not making a decision is still a decision. Okay. Have you guys come across any scenarios like this? So I'll give you an example. When we clean and we can't do everything that's been asked. So, for example, you've got a 4-bedroom house and you've been given 2 hours to get it all perfect, right? You can't do it all, okay? So you've got a choice. You can either disappoint the customer, and you can try and do it and disappoint them, and they're going to be left feeling angry. You're going to feel angry. They're going to feel cheated. You're going to feel like they're taking advantage of you. And that really is a choice not to take control of the situation. So has anyone ever come across that where actually they wish that they had made a choice sooner? Mm-hmm. Are you with me? Sylvie's nodding her head. Give me an example where you've done that, where you've gone, I just didn't make a choice.
Well, like you say, I'm quite, like you say, with booking that big jobs in, I'm quite, oh, no, that's fine, we can do it. And then, obviously, I don't always do it. One of the girls do, and they're like, I'm really struggling, and I wish, you wish you put more time in, or I wish, I keep saying I take deposits, and then I forget to take the deposit because you're so busy doing everything else, and then they don't pay, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, now I'm going to have to chase it. Just little things like that, where if I had a better procedure in place, I wasn't so busy doing other things, I would not mess little things up and drop the ball on little diary management issues. So
yeah, I think everyone's nodding, pretty much going, everybody feels that sometimes. And I think sometimes you choose not to prioritize. Like, it's awkward sometimes going, give me a deposit. And sometimes we choose not to do it because it seems easier at the time. And I think you kind of have to recognize that is a choice. We have chosen not to do it. And then when you're fighting to get the money, and we've all been there, you're fighting to get the money and you're just like, oh, I wish I hadn't done it this way. So I think really what I would like to sort of point out here is there is kind of a continuum. You can either be at the cause side or the effect side. So when a customer hasn't paid you, in this example, you can be really annoyed and frustrated and think the customer is awful and everything like that. And you can even come on the Facebook groups and tell us all how awful the customer is. But that's very much the effect side. That's when something else is in control of you and what's happening. Or you can be at the cause side, whereby you go, okay, the customer hasn't paid me. What did I do wrong? And what do I need to do next time to make sure that this doesn't happen again? Or what did I have to do in this case so that I could have prevented it? And obviously, we all know how to prevent customers not paying. You take the deposit, you put them on direct debit, you make them sign contracts. There's so many things we can do, but it's awkward. And there's so many reasons why we don't. But I think one of the things that a lot of us struggle with that is actually going, look, we can either choose to take control or to not take control. In your case, Sophie, what did you decide to do after this when the customer didn't pay you?
I left it a couple of days purely because I'd forgotten anyway. And then I just texted him, and then he said, oh, no, it's all fine. I've done it. And I thought, it worked out in the end. But, that horrible little couple of hours, oh, God, why did I not just, why? But yeah.
And did you say, I'm going to take deposits every time now?
Yes, I've said that many a time, Louise, and I just run out of time to do it. So, but yeah, we're getting ZenMaid set up, so I'm hoping that will help with that aspect of things. So,
and you can see when they've paid, it should make it easier. But you know what, you could just have a standard onboarding email whereby it's in there that they've got to pay the deposit, and you can have a set deposit, so you don't have to remember each time. It's just in the set welcome email.
Okay.
So had we chosen the cause side of the clean totally overrunning and we took control, what would you do differently? So in my example of a 4-hour clean, a 4-bedroom house given 2 hours, and it's overrunning and it's going horribly wrong, had we chosen to take control and at the point where it's starting to go wrong and we're overrunning, what would you do differently? I'm going to ask you, Lee, because I bet you've had this. We've all had this.
At the moment now, I'm starting to refuse jobs. If I don't think I can do what the customer wants, I'm starting to refuse. Whereas before, I used to just go, oh, yes, I can do it. But then I end up getting frustrated. They get frustrated, and it's a nightmare. So now I just refuse. Okay, I love that. Totally can refuse. I definitely refuse. If they're being unreasonable, actually, I don't refuse. I just give them a price I know they'll turn down. That's fair enough. But at the point where it's going wrong, so you've taken on the job and you're 20 minutes into it and you're going, I'm not going to get this done. What could you do? Communicate with the customer and let them know. Yeah, let them know. And what if they said, I expect you to do it? I don't know. What do you do, Sophie?
Well, this is what we're going to do today, and then next week I would say, or whatever, next time we'll come back and we'll do X, Y, and Z deeper. This is what we're going to do. So that would be my way of dealing with it, Louise, if that's the right answer. I'm not sure. I
don't think there is a right answer. And I think it gets even harder when you've got staff. I'm going to ask Lauren, because I know you've got staff, Lauren. So the same example, you've got a 4-bedroom house, 2 hours to clean it. They're 20 minutes in, they're going, I'm not going to get it done. What would you do?
So we haven't pre-discussed that. I would fess up to the customer. I'd just be reasonable, or I'd tell the staff, either I'd contact them or I'd ask them to talk to them. Just say, look, this is what we're going to get done, make a plan. Probably just say, we'd focus on this area today, let's focus on that area, make it sound like a bit strategic. And just apologise, I suppose, because it would have been my mistake to not pre-plan that we couldn't get that all done, I guess. So I would take the customer service approach of apologising, even if I didn't want to.
Yeah, and I think so. It sounds like we're all doing pretty similar things there. I'd do the same, and the biggest mistake is actually not prepping the staff, because what the staff do is try to whip around everything, and you will have mistakes all over the place. So what I normally say to the staff is, if you can't do it, just do the kitchen and bathroom well, and whichever room you can do it well. But it's really taking control and taking that ownership. And when we're the ones cleaning and it's going wrong, we feel so guilty. But yeah, it is take control of it?
I just say one quick thing, because I had that recently. We have a 3-bed house and they only wanted 2 hours. And I actually emailed, this was a pre-discussion, so it was the right thing in this case, but I actually emailed the cleaner just to tell her to do the bathroom, the kitchen, and then whatever else. But I sent it to the client by mistake.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my God. But actually, she came back, she was like, this is amazing to see, this is exactly what I would want. Do the bathroom, the kitchen, and then the other bits, like, yeah, she loved it. It actually worked out really well.
Do you know, Lauren, when you say that, I write the notes for the cleaner. All my cleaner's notes get sent to the client. So it is written on there that they actually have full visibility of what the cleaner's told to do.
Great. That's a really good tip.
Well, that's what you've just done. I do that as standard, like send the customers, because I tell you the biggest problem, this is totally off subject, but customers forget what they asked for anyway. So by having notes that everyone's got visibility of, it makes it so much easier. Okay, so I was making a point here. I went off on a tangent there. Do you guys accept that there's a lot of things going on in your business and in your lives that you probably could take control of? So everyone going, yeah, I could probably take control of a lot of these things. Okay, so I'm going to ask you this question next then. So we started off with what are you juggling, but what at the moment is the most stressful thing in your life that you would like to be in control of? So it might be in your life, it might be the family, it might be the business, it might be time management, a difficult customer, accounts, childcare in the holidays, the staff's lack of childcare. It might be anything, whatever's going on in your lives. But what is the one thing that you would like to take control of in your life? What's the one thing you'd like to take control of?
For me, it's the amount of hours I'm working, and the fact that because I lost someone, I'm working 7 days a week.
Yeah, ouch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to come back to you at the end and say what you're going to do to sort that, because I believe you could pretty easily. Lee, what would you like to take control of? I know you've got a baby on you right now, asleep.
I'm not sure, really.
Are you completely in control of everything in your business, family? Everything's running like clockwork?
Not clockwork, but I do control it all. I do run it all.
Perfect. As there's nothing at the moment that is slightly out of control. I want your life if that's the case, because oh my gosh, of my life.
I can't think of anything at the moment.
Well, Lee, I think the next part is you're going to like, because I'm going to say, look, let's get a bit more adventurous, because if it's all under control, let's push you off that comfort zone. So I'll let you off it for now. Okay. Later. Go on, Sophie.
I think it's time management, my time management again. Like Lauren says, as soon as somebody goes off, you jump in, and then you think you've planned your week so that you've got time to do the invoicing, everything else that needs to be done. And lo and behold, you're out cleaning because somebody's off sick, and everything that you've got gets pushed to 11 o'clock at night. And there you go, off you trot.
It's hard, isn't it? I'm actually going to ask you, since you both have the same problem, a quite specific question about this one. What would happen if you didn't? What if you didn't do the cleaning?
I'd lose a lot of money.
Okay. What would you gain?
Time to make more, probably.
Okay. Sophie, what would you lose if you didn't do the cleaning?
Yeah, my husband and I keep having this same argument, that why are you still out doing stuff when you should be at managing it? And do you know, if you probably lost a few customers because of it, you'd gain them in other ways, I suppose, because you've spent more time training the right staff, getting the systems in place. So probably nothing, Louise, to answer your question.
I think you're going to really you've sort of brought up a really important point there. One of the things that a lot of us struggle with is actually staff. So the most valuable commodity in any of our business, I don't want to call them commodities, they're lovely people, is the staff. Yet we prioritise having too many customers, putting ourselves and our staff under immense amounts of pressure and stress. And actually, we're not prioritising either ourselves or our staff.
Yeah.
So if you looked at it a little bit differently, we are choosing to be at the beck and call of customers when actually, if I ask you the question, you guys are going, I can replace my customers. How many of you can replace your staff?
They're hard to come by.
They're really hard to come by. And I bet you're pushing your staff to the limit.
Yeah, the ones that will always say yes and not, oh no, I'm busy, da da da. So you do push certain ones. So
yeah, and I'm not saying you're a bad manager by pushing them a little bit harder, but wouldn't it be nice to not have to do that? And actually have the time to recruit as opposed to be working the whole time. And I think this is kind of the point of this slide, is actually, what are we juggling, and what are we prioritizing? Are we prioritizing the customer's happiness? Because a lot of us fall into that trap of going, I must be a customer service business and I must make all the customers happy, when the reality is customers are, it sounds awful, but they are 10 a penny. Most of us can get lots of customers, and they are not the most valuable thing that we need to spend our time on. Does everyone agree with that? Does anyone disagree with that? Lauren, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I completely agree now. I think, given me 2 weeks ago, I've been bending over backwards for customers, and then I just got dropped when I couldn't fill the slot for someone because the client left and they got annoyed with me. They just dropped me like that. And I realised how dispensable we are. So now I do agree, yeah.
Well, unfortunately, you're a service provider, and if you don't provide a good service, they'll replace you.
Exactly.
And I think we forget that. And actually, if we start providing a mediocre service, the customers will decide which ones stay and which ones go. If we want to provide a great service, then we have to pick the best customers that match our service and make it a great place for the staff. If you've got happy, well-trained staff, they'll stay and your business can grow. If you are just chasing customers and rush to the working 24/7, your business cannot grow. You won't have happy staff, and actually you end up getting stuck in a rut of working 24/7. Is this making sense to everyone? This is not the way I thought this was going to go. But anyway, I will move on from here onto the actual point I was trying to get to. So that was, what are you juggling? So this is a quote. I actually haven't looked up who it's from, but it is a famous quote. So the quote is, whether you believe you can do a thing or not, you are correct. Now, I found that quite profound. So if you believe that, if you don't believe that you can tell staff when to take a holiday, you're correct. If you believe you can earn £30 an hour for standard domestic cleaning, you're correct. Whatever you believe, you're correct. That was quite groundbreaking for me. Whether you believe it or not, you'll make it true. So if you believe that your family commitments prevent you achieving success, you're correct. Okay, does anyone believe that? I have at times. I sometimes believe if I didn't have kids, my life would be so much easier in business. I could do that. I could work 24/7. And even better, whatever you guys choose to believe, you will provide examples to me to back it up. So if you believe that you can or can't do something, you are totally correct, and you'll prove it to me, and I will never change your mind. And one of the examples of this that I see regularly on the boards is, if you believe that money corrupts people or that you don't deserve the money, then you will do everything to stop yourself putting prices up and earning more money. And you can see that's often a debate I have on the boards. So whatever you believe, if you believe you're worth it, then you can do it. If you believe you're not worth it, you will never put the prices up. So yeah, has anyone got anything they believe that they think is holding them back, that they want to confess to?
Yeah, I used to think that I couldn't charge higher because I'm only a cleaner. I used to think that, what am I going to do when I'm pregnant and I've got a baby? I'm not going to be able to work. But I've managed to overcome it all, and now I'm like, I can do it.
How did you overcome it?
Well, I started to believe that I could charge more, and what I'm doing in the service, and I run around after customers, then I deserve to be on a higher rate. And I think a couple of weeks ago, I did my first quote for a 3-bedroomed house for £100, and I could not believe that I quoted that because I never would have done before.
Is that for regular cleaning or a deep clean, or?
It's an Airbnb.
Oh, okay. So you're doing it all every week or every turnover and doing all the beds and all the linen and things?
Yeah, well, they're paying for extra for the laundry and they're paying extra for the consumables. So that's just for the clean.
Nice. That's a real belief change, isn't it?
I never would have charged that before, never.
And Sophie, is there anything you believe that you wish you didn't?
Probably take myself out of the cleaning more. That is my biggest stumbling block at the minute.
What is it that you believe that is stopping you taking yourself out of the cleaning?
I don't know whether I like seeing customers. I like seeing my regulars, and all right, I don't have many regulars now. I'm generally jumping in all the time, but I don't know I just don't quite know. I suppose it is probably how the customers are going to react. I don't know, but I've done it all before, so why would they not? A lot of my regulars are now with the girls, so it's not. I have done it. I just don't know what it is, Louise, to be honest.
You know what I used to believe? I used to believe that if I wasn't cleaning, I wasn't actually, I didn't deserve to actually earn money from the business. I kind of felt guilty. Sorry, I'm going to cough. I kind of felt guilty that everyone else was out and about working and cleaning, and I was just kind of swanning around in the office. And I had a real sort of guilt belief that I didn't deserve it. I definitely felt that. And I think a lot of people struggle with that transition from being someone that you can physically see earning the money. If you do an hour's cleaning, you know exactly how much you've earned. If you sit in the office and do a load of quotes, or maybe that's a bit different because you can see what you earn, but if you sit there and do invoices or you sit there and write a bit of staff training, it doesn't directly generate income. And I think a lot of us struggle with the concept that it's okay to sit there and not directly generate income. Has anyone else struggled with that?
I feel that a little bit. I actually sent a picture to the staff this morning of my laundry pile for my Airbnbs to prove to them that I was actually working too, because I feel guilty that I'm not actually going out and doing the jobs and they are. So I took a picture and sent it to the group this morning to say, look what I'm doing while I'm working too.
How do you think they took that?
I'm not sure.
I think sometimes it's in our heads. They're going, why are you sending me a picture of your laundry? But it is that we feel guilty sometimes. Right, I'm going to move on. You're going to love this. Can you have it all? So can you have, first of all, can you have it all? That depends what all is, okay? So if you want a happy, balanced family life and a business that provides and you enjoy, then yes, you can have it all. If you want a multi-million-pound business in an exceptionally short period of time, then something's probably going to have to give. And it may be your free time or your capacity to put the needs of your family first. So I think sometimes we are sold a little bit of a dream that you can have it all. Well, the reality is you can only have so many things. We all have a set sort of capacity. Obviously, some are slightly bigger than others. But one of my favourite books, I don't know if you guys have read it, it's the 5 a.m. Club. I love it. I don't like getting up at 5 a.m., but I love the book. And it teaches you how to lead one of the most productive business lives. But there's a whole chapter dedicated to the perils of actually dedicating your life to growing the business. And it talks about how, yes, you can have your multi-million-pound business, but at what cost? Because you will probably sacrifice spending time with loved ones. You will sacrifice your free time. You will sacrifice an awful lot to be able to focus all your time, attention, and money on the one thing that you do want. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but I think sometimes, and given that this webinar is about balance, I do think sometimes we're sold that we can have it all, and actually that's not always realistic. Has anyone else found this, that they're looking around going, everybody's got so much more, and actually you go, I've got a great balance? Lauren's come back up here. What's your thoughts on this?
I'm very guilty of looking at other people and thinking they've got it all, and they, and not really giving my situation a thought. I've got 5 kids, just 5 young kids, and like special needs and all kinds of things. So I'm very guilty of that, comparing myself and thinking everyone has it all, and I don't.
and is it kind of nice when someone reminds you that actually, with 5 kids in a business, it's very, very hard for you to achieve in your business what someone can do with no kids. It's like you can do the same thing, but it is going to take you longer, or you've got an awful lot of childcare, which would be great. But if you haven't got full-time childcare, it's just hard. Does anyone else find this?
Yep, I feel guilty sometimes when I have to take my baby to cleans with me, but sometimes I have to. I can't afford to have her in nursery all day while I go out and clean, because then I'm basically working for nothing.
It's hard. It's really, really hard. And like, you want to be running the business and you want the cleaning to all happen. But at the same time, you've got a baby. Do you know what? Make the most of it while your baby can go to cleans, because it gets a bit harder in a couple of years' time. I'm guessing you found that, Sophie, as well.
Well, we don't have kids yet. This is one of our battles, that how on earth are we going to have a baby when I'm out all day? So, yes. Yeah, I don't know how you guys do it.
It has to give a little bit. Something has to give a little bit. So I've had 2 babies while running a business. They are older now, and it's absolutely perfectly possible. But at the same time, you cannot run yourself into the ground trying to run the business and with a young baby as well. And I think sometimes we just have to slow it down a little bit. So I want to share a little bit. When we say, can you have it all? I just want to share my story a little bit here. So I don't have a massive business working all the hours, because I chose pretty much from the start. I wanted a life balance. So I chose to work 9 till 3. I wanted to be there for every school drop off and every school pick up. I wanted to be able to do sports days. None of my business now works Mondays. We actually only work 4 days a week. And could I have a bigger business? Yes. Could I do commercial cleans in the evenings and earn even more money? Yes, I could. But I don't want to. I don't want to take those phone calls in the evenings. I want that life balance. And to me, what I've chosen is life balance trumps I've got a good business and a stable business, but my life balance is what I've chosen to prioritize, and having a good time, really. As time's gone on and my family's got older, I've got to say that what I've wanted has changed. So much as Sophie's saying, actually, we're probably going to change. As they've got older, what I've wanted has changed, and I want to spend more time in the mountains. And my free time's actually taken up more and more of sort of what I'm interested in. And I've recently done even more coaching qualifications to make more of a difference to people's lives. But it's quite nice, because as you get older and more established, what you actually want changes. Now, what I want you guys to think about now, so this question is, what do you want your business to enable you to do? So we all have businesses for a reason. So mine is about life balance. Mine is all about spending time with my kids, or was. It's changing a bit now. But what do you want your business to enable you to do? So Sophie, you partly answered that, but what would you like your business to enable you to do? Why are you doing this?
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, that's just a cold.
Does anyone else want an answer? Lee, what do you want yours to enable you to do?
Mine is for my kids, so I have time with my kids.
So yours is about balance.
Yeah, I never wanted to have a cleaning business. I'm not business headed, but soon as I had my children, I was like, I can't work the hours. I need something more flexible, and that's why I ended up doing this.
Love it. It's so similar to mine, just working around kids. Maz, do you want to share yours?
Obviously, I'd like my business to set my children up as well. So for, obviously with the cost of living, university and stuff. So I'd like my business to be successful, to help my children.
Okay. And in what do you want to do? Do you want to pass it on to them? Do you want to invest money in property? What is it you want to give to your children from your business?
I guess I just want them to be to be financially, like, to sort of have that, not have that worry about, the cost of living, the cost of going to university, the cost of, everything, really. I mean, I've worked from a really young age, from like the age of 16, because my family were really poor. We didn't have anything, so we used to struggle in terms of just eating. We just never had any money at all. So growing up was really difficult for me. So starting a business for me was to give to my children everything that I didn't have. Of course, there's limits within that. However, I don't want them to be in the position that I was ever in, where, I had three sisters and my mum and my dad, and we'd sort of have to choose which one of us were eating that day, because growing up was just very difficult. So I never wanted that for my kids. So I think having this business and and just having money and having the ability to walk into a supermarket and be able to sort of choose what we buy is something I never had, So I think in the long run, when because my kids are really young, so when they grow up and they start just learning how to drive, or even, getting ready to go to university, I don't want them to have the problems that I have. I couldn't go to university because my family could never afford it. We couldn't afford anything,
So yeah. You want financial stability. So yeah. It's quite interesting, because obviously you're in not dissimilar position to Lee there. And it's quite interesting that actually your priority is financial stability and Lee's priority is actually time with family. And although you'll be running, like, they're probably similar-ish businesses, I don't know either of your businesses, but let's say they're similar, you will probably actually make quite different decisions as to how Lee sets up her business. She might be choosing actually the 9 till 3 model, it's actually really important, the stability, whereas you might go, no, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to work evenings as well. And actually, it's all about financial stability.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that, because the last question, like the last thing that you spoke about was, how do you manage everything? And it was great listening to everybody's, input and stuff. Me, I'm the kind of person who, the staff that I have working for me, I've got 7 of them working for me, and I will do the worst jobs ever. I will move them to the side, and I'll be the one who cleans up the dog poo and, cleans the bathrooms and gets behind things, because it's the motivation within me that says, no, I want to be that person who makes something of myself, because I really need to make something of myself. I need to prove to myself that life is, life gave me a bad start, and you know what? I've made it, and I did that all by myself.
So, Mel, your biggest struggle is what we've already talked about. Your biggest struggle is going to be, actually, how do you then take a step back and go, I'm still worth this, when you're not grafting the way that you have valued yourself on there?
Yeah, definitely. This is the reason why I'm here, to get your advice.
I have no advice.
I find myself telling myself every morning, right, Maz, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not a cleaner. I'm a business owner. And then suddenly I have 2 hours spare and I have a query coming, and I think, right, I'm chasing that because I've got nothing to do. And this is my problem. I need to step away from that, because them 2 hours to me are so precious. Because Louise, I spend 5-6 hours average at work, and then I spend 6 hours average at home working, and then I spend 3 hours catching up with my paperwork, and it's not working. It's so it's I need.
Maz, I'm going to come on to this.
Step away.
I'm going to have to stop you. We're going to keep going. I will come on to a lot of these things. There's a lot of things you've just brought up there we are going to cover. But I'm going to move on to the next one. So this is a point that you've just brought up there. Who are you? Who are each of you? Okay. And the reason I ask this is our definition of ourselves changes through our lives. Maybe you used to be adventurous and love roller coasters, but now you get scared on an escalator. Okay. You used to love clubbing, socializing, and being surrounded by friends, but now you love nothing more than a night in, watching Downton Abbey with a cup of tea and a cat sat on your lap. Okay. So we change. Now, this picture, that's not me. I wish it was me, but that one's not particularly me. We all need an outlet to escape, okay? Running a cleaning business, and I'm not just talking about it being physically hard, it is emotionally and mentally draining. Add to that any family pressures that are going on and anything else that's going on in your life, and it gets really hard. So my escape is climbing like this. And when you've got your hands on the rock, and if you make the wrong move, you're going to fall to possible death, you can't think about anything else. For me, I love it because all of us, when we're running businesses, we've all got so much going on in our heads that it's really hard to stop your brain thinking. So this is why I do this. Does anyone here have something that they do to let them just completely switch off? Do you all have that switch, or an activity or a place or something you do? It might be for some people getting ridiculously drunk. That's why some people do it, for the escapism. I don't, but some people do. For me, it's the adrenaline of near death. What do you guys do to turn off?
I like running.
Love it. Can't think about much then, can you?
I just find it so relaxing, and I just put on music and I just run, and I find it, it's totally de-stressing.
Love it. What does anyone else do? Sophie, what do you do?
Not much, Louise. The business consumes most of my time. So tonight, I've worked really hard today sorting stuff out, so I'm going to do my nails, and that's my treat for this evening.
Okay, that's your treat.
But
Okay, pre-business, what did you love doing?
I have a horse, so riding. I used to ride a lot, but I don't at all now. Don't at all.
Do you want to?
Probably when you say it's physically and mentally draining, energy-wise, I probably haven't got the energy to do it anymore. But I'd like to have more time to do things that I want to do, not more paperwork and organising. Sorry.
Okay, right. I'm going to bring up another little point. Right. So this is all about you. Now, this came out in one of our DCBN adverts. It goes slightly off topic, and I have been warned, maybe you shouldn't cover this point. When we get older, and when we have children, and when we have all the other pressures that come with life, we definitely forget who we are. But we also forget something really important. Our confidence goes. And we forget how we value ourselves. Now, I'm going to talk about dating a teeny bit here, and I don't know how many of you watch Love Island, okay? It's one of my guilty pleasures. If you don't watch Love Island, you probably know what it is. Watching it has no relevance to this. It's quite interesting. We in society value youth, perfection, enhancements, abnormal body shapes. And it's really strange that as we get a little bit older, and when I say a little bit older, I'm only talking 20s and 30s here. Obviously, the older we get, the more this affects people. We begin to lose the confidence of who we are. And that actually, if you think about the people on Love Island, I don't know about any of you, I love watching them. I sure as heck never want to date one. And I think hopefully you probably all agree with me. It wouldn't be that much fun to date any of them, quite frankly. They're a little bit self-obsessed. But anyway, we start to look at ourselves and compare ourselves to those people that are not really real. There's a lot of enhancements. And due to that, we sort of lose confidence in who we are because our society values things that are not always realistic. And I definitely think that when you've been in business a little while and you haven't had time to look after yourself, and maybe you don't get to do the preening that you'd like to do, you kind of lose that confidence in yourself. Has anyone else found that? And it is a little bit about looks here, unfortunately. I don't want to talk about looks, but But we definitely, as a society, struggle with this. Lee, you look like you want to unmute and say something here.
I used to spend a lot of time putting my makeup on, doing my hair, straightening my hair, and now I just don't bother. I don't put any makeup on. I just tie my hair up and I just go and do my day-to-day business, whereas I never used to. But I think now I'm older now. I've got children. I don't have time to do things like that.
Yeah, and I think we all go through stages of that. And I definitely think there's the next stage where you go, actually, I really want to. Actually, I quite want to prance around and be confident and do the things that maybe you sort of, especially when you have children, you think, I haven't got the confidence to do a lot of these things. So what I'm going to ask here, we've talked about a few different topics there, is I want you to all remember what you were like pre-business, when life wasn't totally overwhelming, and what did you really, really love doing, and what would you like to do now? So not just as a sort of break for me, which is climbing. It might be that you want to do that. But what is the one thing that you used to do or you think you'd like to do that you would like to add to your life that would give you a real sense of balance? I think Sophie's actually saying something there, but go on. Lauren, what would you like to add?
I think at the moment, I would love to add more time to being mum, because I'm just running around and my husband's doing everything at home, and I did actually enjoy all that stuff.
When you say more time to be a mum, can you be a bit more specific? Because time,
true.
You can't add time. That time is a constant. So what do you actually want to do?
I guess just engage with the kids more, like rather than, even now I'm not eating dinner with them. I'm like outside separately doing this. And it's just like, making me realise that I need to that's the one thing I need to do is engage with them more.
Okay, so when you say engage, it's eat dinner with the kids.
Eat dinner. Well, I do mostly, but play. Just have time, have the headspace to do some activities with them, and like not work all weekend. I'm working all weekend as well, so I can't even go and do fun stuff with them.
Okay.
So, it's really suffering at the moment.
Okay, so you know that this time, as I said, is a constant. It is kind of a choice, unfortunately, and you're not going to like when I say this. You chose when your member of staff called in sick for the weekend, or when you took the job on, you've kind of chosen to do that. Yeah, I chose the money. I've been prioritising money because we need it desperately. So I have been prioritising money over family, definitely. And is that a short-term thing to achieve your goals, or is it? There no way to do it?
No, it is, because I know I can't carry on like this, but I have to save a certain amount of money by a certain amount of time. So
okay, and is that soon?
Yeah, maybe in a couple of years, probably.
So what I'm hearing is you're right. You can earn absolutely loads of money and you can do exactly what you're doing for a short period, but you will burn out. And if you want to stay in this for any sustained period, there has to be more balance. You can't, like a lot of us do this to balance around the family. And if you're ignoring the family, all you end up doing is feeling resentful of the job. Yeah, I am. Yeah. So, there has to be. And also, as we've already talked about, if you keep working, you don't grow your business. And so actually you make less money and have less time, and it's all counterproductive. Okay. But go on. Sophie, what would you like to add? We've talked about horses, haven't we? Is that what you'd like to do?
Yeah, I was just asking my husband actually, like, what did we do before the business? What was it? I think it is just more free time. Not.
I'm going to answer the same. Time is a constant. You don't get free time. What specifically would you do with that free time?
Managing it better, I suppose.
What would you like to do? Do you want to watch Netflix? Do you want to read a book?
Go out. Well, I suppose it's maybe watch TV, but not have to do emails while I'm doing it, watching it. Actually have a clear work time and free time is probably. So I'm not really answering you, Louise, am I?
No, what I'm hearing is boundaries.
Boundaries.
What I'm hearing is I want to turn my emails off for an hour, and I can't go and ride a horse because what if there's an email that comes in when I'm riding my horse?
Well, even if we go out now, on our last holiday, there must, we just spend so much time working while we're away, and Yeah, better systems in place. I'm going way off topic, Louise. Sorry.
Right, everybody does. Okay, so is it travel, adventure, cook, read? What would you do? I said you can have half an hour. What would you do? Half an hour, email free.
Half an hour, email free. Oh my God, mow the lawn or do some gardening. Just something not working.
Housework. I ban you from doing housework. Maz, help me out here. What should she do?
Sorry. Oh gosh.
Hello, go on, Maz. What do you think of this?
She should eat her way through life.
Feed
Just
her
sit
way
on the
through
sofa
life.
and just gorge on crisps and chocolates. Just do it, girl.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was where I was going, but all right. Sorry for your advice.
I'll get some
Just don't stand on the scales afterwards.
Yeah, okay. Maz, quick one. What would you do with a half an hour? What would you add?
I'd reconnect with my friends and just go for really long walks and yeah.
Awesome. Are you going to book one of those in?
No, not yet.
Okay. So you would do that, but you're not going to. Okay.
Maybe in August.
Okay, because August is good for walking. Okay, right. I'm going to move on here, guys. Right, so this is you time. Yeah, I get it. You're all already stressed and stretched, and you would love to just lock yourself in the bathroom and have a bath and have a bit of you time. But what, in fact, is you time? Okay, so do you even know what you would do with 30 minutes or even 4 hours? I suggest you don't get in a bath with as much leaves and things as this picture has. But anyway, definitely we forget who we are and who we are as people. And I want to remind you at this stage that actually in your business and in your family, because they are kind of the same thing, there is one person, maybe two, but normally just one person that holds it all together. Guys, which member of staff is that? Which child is it that holds it all together? Who is it that holds it all together? Because it's not the staff and it's not the children, is it? Who is it that holds it all together? It's you. Yes. What happens when it goes wrong with us?
Business falls down.
Family falls down. If you can't be asked to feed the children, you feed them pizza. And actually, that's not what you want to do as a mum. When you can't be bothered with the staff and they tell you about whatever problem they're having and you really couldn't give a damn, they feel completely unloved and, not valued, and all the things that could go wrong do start to go wrong. I think we forget that as parents, as business owners, as partners, the most important people in the family and our relationship is us. We're the ones that hold everything together. If the team is strong at the top, then the team underneath will be strong. And we kind of all need to work on that. And I think that is what we fundamentally forget. If you had a member of staff that was working as hard as any one of you guys, you would give them some time off. But yet we don't do it with ourselves. So, as for being happy, if you are happy, you can continue to give so much to other people. All of you give to everyone around you. But if you go down, then everybody suffers. So you are the most pivotal person in any one of the teams that you are holding together, whether it's family in the wider sense or, kids or the business. So this is my next question for you guys. What hours are you going to work? Okay. How many of you are working 80-hour weeks? Hands up if you've ever done an 80-hour week. Okay, good. None of you apart from me have done an 80-hour week because it's horrible. I will like to say it was not 80 hours solid cleaning, but I've definitely pulled a few 80-hour weeks. But what I'm hearing from you guys is actually you're not even measuring it. If you're telling me you can't sit in front of Netflix without turning the emails off, you are working constantly. So if I ask you again who's worked an 80-hour week, genuinely, if you include all the time you spent on social media and everything else, are you working 80-hour weeks? Who's in bed at 11 o'clock at night still replying? Yeah. Okay. Luckily, Lee's not. Maz, you haven't put your hand down, but Sophie and Lauren are like, I am working an 80-hour week. Did you plan to work an 80-hour week? No, nobody wants to. Okay, what do you want to work? I'm going to ask Sophie and Lauren here. What do you want to work?
Is it weird to want to be 9 to 5? Is that not normal?
Is it normal to want to be 9 to 5?
No, 9 to 5, 9 to 4 maybe.
Okay, your ideal is 9 till 5.
Yes, that would be lovely.
Who's stopping you doing that?
But me, Louise.
Do you know, I do think it's all very well for me to sit here and say, look, you could work 9 till 5. I also know running a business, it's really hard. And I've got to say it's impossible, particularly at the start, to work your nice set 9 to 5 hours. And so I used to be a lot more structured. I would work 9 till 3, then I'd have time off to pick up the kids, cook dinner, and then I'd be back at work, and I still am, 7 till 10. And I do that 2 or 3 nights a week. But I'm sort of really conscious of when I'm working and when I'm not working and when I'm not working. So I do work till 10, 11 o'clock at night sometimes. But I'm between 3 and 7 is sort of my protected time. And if someone phones, I've got a little button on my phone that I just say, sorry, I'm not available. I'll speak to you later. And I think you all need to work out your own balance. But I mean, you could say that I am clocking up, I probably am doing 10-hour days, but it's when I want to do it, and it is putting the family first. Sophie, what do you actually want to work? And what was realistic?
I would like to think 9 to 5 would be realistic, 9 to 6 perhaps. Yeah.
What would happen if you turned your phone and computer off at 6?
Some people might not know where they're going the next day.
Okay.
So I need to get better systems in place to say that everything's all, if last minute bookings come in and things get changed because of people are off sick and and I've wiggled things round, then, I still need to send a few addresses out for tomorrow. But I've got to get better system in place, Louise, to enable me to be more organised. They do know where they're going eventually. Oh God, your face looks horrified. They do know.
So every business faces exactly that. So we do our plans a couple of weeks in advance, but you're right, everything changes sometimes. So we basically, all through the evening, we get emails that come in and people change and people go off sick early the next morning. So what we do is someone comes in at 7:30 in the morning and it's not confirmed to everybody until at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we've got half an hour to do all those final juggles, because otherwise they're in that set half an hour, you could do all the final juggles and at 8 o'clock the whole lot's confirmed. If you try and juggle it over the 5-6 hours where all the changes come in, I bet you rearrange it about 6 times.
Yeah, I've learned, so I sort of roughly know what will be happening next week and the week after, but I don't finalise it until Saturday. And then, as you say, Monday morning comes and little niggles change. But yeah, I try to write a list of the things, and it all just magically falls into place somehow eventually. But it all works its way out. It does work out eventually, and things fall into the right days and times. But yeah, I try not to worry too much about it now until I'm sure what's definitely going to happen next week.
Do you finalise everything on a Monday morning?
Normally by Saturday afternoon, everyone knows what they're doing for the next week, Monday to Friday, the Monday after.
Okay, so by Saturday afternoon, it's all confirmed?
Sort of, yes.
And when did it change again?
It's just the things like sickness or the kids are sick, little things like that might change days and time.
Okay, so you can't confirm it on a Saturday because actually by Tuesday it's all changed again.
Yeah, it'd be last minute things that might change.
So this again is off topic, but we learned this the hard way. So we used to send out the staff's rota a week in advance. Now all my staff work 9 till 3, but we used to send out exactly where they were going a week in advance because we thought it'd be really nice. And sometimes the staff would finish at 2 o'clock, but on the last minute, like you're finding, someone would call in sick, we'd juggle their rota around, and suddenly they'd be working till 3. And what we ended up with is really unhappy staff. Not that they were working till 3, but they'd planned to be finished at 2 because we told them they were going to finish at 2. And then in the morning, we were like, we need you to work till 3. And they were like, really annoyed with us. Obviously, it was out of our control. And we were getting peed off because we were annoyed that they were annoyed with us. And so in the end, we said, right, we're not confirming any of your rotas. You are all in between 9 and 3, and we will send you confirmation at 8 o'clock in the morning of exactly where you're going. And we refused to confirm it before then because all that happened were people were annoyed at what was perceived as our instability. Now, customers juggling around and people going off sick is not my instability, but it was perceived as my instability. And so when we said, actually, we just confirm it for half an hour in the morning, because like you, our plans were done a week in advance, in that half an hour, people were so much happier.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
And it meant that we're not constantly juggling. We just leave it till that morning and just do the final juggles.
Right, okay.
Does that? I mean, we have a lot of juggling around, but does anyone else deal with this? What's everyone else's take on this situation?
Because I'm still quite small. I've got people like in the same jobs on the same days. So I don't know if that's the right way to do it or not, but that means that I don't have at the moment too much juggling. But as again, I'm small as well. I've only got like 4.5 staff. So I don't know if that's why.
And if one goes off sick, does anyone cover, or do they just get left?
No, that's the problem. Either they get left or I do it, which is probably the problem.
And I'm guessing with Sophie, you send someone in to cover.
Yeah. I might wiggle, so I might say, all right, well, if you can do them that day, that they'll move, because certain clients are more amenable than others and don't mind wiggling and jiggling. So I know not who I can mess around, but who won't mind moving if there is a problem, and who definitely won't, and that is whose priority to be covered.
Can I say it's quite interesting listening to 2 different ways of working, and I don't think there's a right way. I think Lauren sort of sat there going, well, no, the customer just doesn't get done, or I cover. But the reality is that's one way of doing it, and it's a lot less stressful when you go, look, your cleaner's off. Unfortunately, you're not going to get done this week. Is it the right way? I don't know, but it allows you capacity to kind of do something else. And sometimes we do have to say, I just can't do it. Today we had 3 staff off with COVID, and what do you do? I've got 3 off. There's only so much you can do. Sometimes you have to just say no.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things like you probably scale out of it, don't you? Like if you have like 6, 7 plus staff, more, you have like loads of staff, then you've got more people to cover. I suppose at my size, I don't really have. I will put people to cover if they can, but I don't have much capacity because I don't have enough staff really. So I suppose, once I scale up, it will be different. I think.
I've got to say, when you hit 15 staff, it's a game changer, because then you know that it's about 15 where you can have one member of staff in almost just as cover, and you're going to use them no matter what. And if you don't, you just take a teeny bit of each one, and no one cares about finishing at 2 or 2:30 or however you juggle it.
Okay.
So, I have one member of staff so we're at 13 members of staff, and I have one whose diary I leave. So she has a block of 2 clients in the morning who are her regulars, and in the afternoon she knows that she'll get extra for going and covering whatever's been, whoever's off sick. So I know I've got a bit of a wiggle room that way.
That's brilliant. It is. It's about that level, isn't it, where life just gets easier. So, Sophie, you've got no excuse. There is no need for you to be cleaning.
I need that magical 15, it sounds like, Louise.
15 is awesome. If your lady that had her 2 in the morning got rid of those 2, I bet you wouldn't have to clean.
No. She would. So she's taken over more of a supervisor role to help me out. So I'm hoping that will help a little bit. But like you say, she's had COVID. COVID's rearing its head again, isn't it? More poor people having it. So it's taken a little while to get that sorted. But yeah.
Okay, right. I'm going to move on. Systems for an efficient home. Okay, I know you'd like this. We're going to go on to business in a second. So running a home is like running a business. And when you're at home, you need the leadership skills at home. It's the exact same leadership skills at home that it's pretty much the same thing as running a business. You need to put the plans in place and consequences for if things are not followed. Okay, you try this with your partners. It works in theory, doesn't it? The plan is that you empty the dishwasher, take the bins out, all of that. And if you don't, the consequence will be X, Y, and Z. Yeah, that's the plan. Anyone actually manage this?
Absolutely not.
No.
You've got it under control, Lee, haven't you? Do you manage this?
Well, my partner, he used to be a baker and he used to finish at dinner time. So after dinner time, while I was at work, he used to do like the cleaning and stuff in the house. But now he works away. I do it, but then on a weekend he will help out and he will like run the vacuum round and he will like wipe and dust. And I said to him he needs to help me, even though I'm not physically working every day, even just in the house looking after the children, I am non-stop and I need help. And he does it.
Nice. And for those of us with older kids, they should be doing their own. Like mine have one loads the dishwasher and one's supposed to unload it. Surprising how much I do it, considering they're supposed to do it. But again, what I've found is the busier my work gets, the house takes an absolute hit. And first of all, having a cleaner really helps. It really helps. I love it. But having a planner on the wall. So actually knowing what you're doing. If you plan your home life like your work life, most of us are pretty organized. We've got Google Calendar, or, if you use a paper diary, I hope you don't, but if you do, that's working. But actually with our home life, some of us kind of let that go a little bit. So good planner on the wall. This is where I'm going to ask you guys to join in. So I love housework tasks for children or partners. So what I sometimes do is on a Saturday morning, if we're all there, I will give each person a task and turn the TV off. In fact, I turn the internet off and they've got half an hour. Everyone has to do their tasks and the internet's not coming back on until everybody's done their task. Anyone do anything as evil as me? No.
No, but I should.
I ban it. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. They get their warning. You can do what you like, guys. So 10 o'clock in the morning and then internet goes off.
Nice.
I pay my daughter to do tasks.
Yeah.
Oh, I tried that. My son went, "You're not paying enough." I was like, "It's not worth it." Okay, so can we have some ideas from you guys as to what helps with the home? So one of my favourite ones, I love the meal planner. So I love Gusto. I know there's HelloFresh and other ones. And my reason for that is I had this dream. Okay, I had this dream. I wanted to be a perfect mum. And to be a perfect mum, I cooked my kids beautiful, healthy, home-cooked meals. They were all served at the same time. We all sat and ate a dinner together. And I quickly realised that wasn't happening in my house, and I was struggling like crazy. The biggest problem was I didn't plan my meals. So therefore, I went to the shop and I got the same old thing, and there was often pizzas and stuffed pasta because it's quite frankly easier. And so when I could outsource that part of the thinking, that meant that I could be the kind of mum I wanted to be, and someone else did that part for me. Has anyone else tried this kind of thing? Does anyone else struggle with this? With the idea they want to be perfect mum like me?
Yes, massively. Yeah. And meal planning is my nemesis. But yeah.
So the best thing I've found is obviously you can do Gusto or HelloFresh, that's awesome. Or just sit down with your kids and say, what are your 4 favourite meals? And they'll love like spag bowl, whatever they love, pizza. You can do it, and they do it homemade. And then once you've got those 4, you can just keep whacking the same 4. But you can do healthy versions of them. And it means you've got just a set shopping list. So the next week you do it differently. What else do people love that help around the house? Give me some suggestions, guys.
Cordless Dyson. That's my favourite thing at the minute. I can do the whole house in about 6 minutes. I love it.
Amazing. I haven't tried the Dyson. I've broken 2 cordless Vaxes. I churned through.
I'm not a Vax fan, but the Dyson is brilliant.
I love it. Yeah, mine are dogs. Okay. Has anyone else done things like at home, got as organised as they are at work? Do you have password files at home, the home stuff? So, on your home stuff, you need, on the computers, there's lots of stuff that goes on at home. If you know, like your water, whoever your water provider is, the password to get onto there. So you all have passwords for everything all sorted out like you would do at work with suppliers.
No.
Do you have a list, all those that have got children, of all the school clubs and the childcare providers and the contact numbers for those?
No.
Do you have the school term times pinned up on the wall?
No, I don't know when they start finish. I have no idea.
See, this is a game changer at the beginning of the year. Just stick. I've got different schools, but pin them up on the wall because it's amazing how often you need to look at the term times.
Cool.
What's some of the other ones? Oh, okay. With children, right? My biggest game changer, my most exciting one recently was an app called Squeebles, and it teaches them their spellings because I hate teaching spellings. So it did cost me £5, but it teaches them their spellings, and I love it. Great. What else are people doing at home to make their lives easier? Is anyone doing? Do any of you plan your home lives here?
Not at all. Mine's a mess.
Yeah, but yet, I bet you're really organised at work.
Yeah, really, really.
Guys, who here spends like half an hour at a weekend just organising one cupboard or one little area, or emptying the bedside table? That takes half an hour. Does anyone do anything like that ever?
Sometimes I do. On a weekend, I will do like a deep clean in a certain area.
So Lee, you seem super organised. What one system works really well in your house?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
You've got a baby. Do you ever have a list of what the baby needs if you have a babysitter or something?
I have lists everywhere. I've got lists next to me now. Every day I write a list of what I'm going to do in that day. I've always done it.
Love that. Sophie, you look slightly shocked at this. Are you a list?
I do have loads of lists. However, I have a notepad full of lists, and then I forget which lists I've written where. I have about 3 or 4 on the table actually, because I just scribble on all sorts, envelopes, bits of paper, product lists, book, anything. I'll scribble on it, and then I forget what I've done with it. But generally, it does come to me eventually.
Do you know what I've learned about lists? I've got to say, guys, I slightly disagree with you on this. I like a list and I put it on my phone. So I don't know, those of you that have an iPhone, I have a to-do list and it's got a little button next to it so you can tick it off when it's done. And I try and limit that to no more than 5 things a day. 5 things, because I'm not going to do more than about 5 things. So I'm just tick, tick, tick. And obviously they're big things. And because I can write a list of 20 things and all I do is just go, didn't achieve that, didn't achieve that, didn't achieve that, didn't achieve that. So for me, I've given up. I just go, no, what am I actually going to do today? Not what do I want to do? What am I actually going to do? And I just do those. Does anyone else do that? I
write really daft things on my list, like washing the pots, and do you know what are achievable, just so I can even, I don't know, just little things on my list, just because it's an achievement to me. And even if it's not on my list, I'll write it on and then I'll cross it off. I do that sometimes. I walk the dog. Now, I walk my dog every day because I walk him to school with my daughter. And I tick off walked dog and I'm like, whoop, whoop, I achieved that. Of course I achieved it. I walked to school. Okay, so not much more for efficient homes. I think, guys, there's an awful lot that you guys could probably start like juggling around the house and planning some of these things. What you're all a lot more familiar with is systems for an efficient business. Now, I can list these off, but I doubt I'm going to tell you anything you guys don't already know. So you can get systems for social media. You can get accountants to help you out. You can have accountancy software. You can get HR support, or you can have your own HR systems. You can have lawyers and contracts to cover your legal side. You can have software for planning. So ZenMaid, Jobber, Bright HR. There are systems for just about everything. Who thinks they've got it nailed? Sophie?
Get in there, I hope.
Get in there?
Yeah.
What is it? Because you've mentioned, did you say you're getting ZenMaid or something?
Yeah. Out of interest, do you use ZenMaid?
I don't use ZenMaid in my main business. I have used it. I used it over lockdown for about 6 months. And I've got to say, I loved it. I want to promote it because it's one of our partners. I loved it. But for me, ZenMaid only works up to about 20 staff. And so when I was running a business with it, I had about 4 staff going, and it was great. It was awesome. It did an awful lot for me. But I think by the time you get to where you are with 13 staff, it's quite difficult because to use any software, particularly planning software, your business has grown using a certain set of assumptions. And when they write software, they use a certain set of assumptions. They have to. You can't make it so it covers everyone from every angle. And so by the time you've got to 13 staff, you either have to adapt to their assumptions or it isn't going to quite work for you. And then, by the time you hit about 20, you've probably outgrown it a little bit. So I think it's quite a tricky point that you're at to sort of introduce it. I think it's great. But I probably introduced it a lot earlier to make it a bit easier.
Right. So there's little bits of ZenMaid that I'd, like you say, little bits of ZenMaid I use, and then we've just started with Bright HR, so there's little bits on there that I'd use, and I feel that it's getting messy because that's stressing me at the minute that it's not quite all in one place and the set way of doing things.
I think that if you speak to anyone, there isn't one software that does everything. And I think ZenMaid, does it integrate with Xero now with your accountancy, or Sage, or what's the other one?
I think Bright HR integrates with Xero, and that's one of the things that worries me, that we're going to have 2 tracking ways, tracking things, and then they're both going to want to do payroll. And I just think in some ways, some parts of it might cause me more issues than it will solve. But yeah, it was just out of interest to see what you used. And
so I personally, ours is custom written. So ours is actually, Excel. Ours is like Excel on steroids with macros, and ours is all completely custom written. So it's useless to anyone else.
Right, okay. No, so, it's just interesting to find out what other people, because nothing quite fits the planning schedule for a cleaning. ZenMaid fits that, whereas like Connect Teams, I really liked Connect Teams, but it didn't quite fit on the scheduling. Anyway, I'm comfortable.
They're all good. A lot of people swear by job. There are, like, Diane was talking to a brilliant supplier, and they provided a wonderful piece of software that did everything you're asking for, and it's £50 per month per employee. And she was like, that's not going to happen. Like, that's ridiculous. It was running into like the thousands per year. So I think there is software that can do it, but you are looking serious amounts of money. And most people, when you look at the balance, it's best to use the best bits from each of them.
Right, okay. No, it's just nice to have confirmation that I'm not barking up the wrong tree.
How's everyone else found software?
I tend to avoid it because of the same reason, that you can't get one that covers everything. It's a lot of them cover the same thing, but then like different aspects are different. So I tend to do quite a lot of stuff myself. Like, I don't even have an accountant. I do it all myself. I don't like to outsource. I like to stay in control and know what's going on. So I tend to do a lot of it myself.
We do it all in-house, and you can.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think, it's hard because that can be quite restrictive as well, because if you are sort of like us, a bit of a control freak, a bit of a perfectionist, it's great. And I believe you should be able to do these things. But I think you hit a certain point where actually you sort of have to let go in order to grow. But it's hard. I struggle.
Well, I'm still quite small, and I kind of want to keep small because I want to keep that control, and I don't want to fully come away from the cleaning. I still like to do bits every now and again. I like to still meet the customers and do bits of cleaning. I don't want to be fully like step back away from it. I don't feel like that's for me.
Do you know what? That's perfect. I'm too far gone for that, but like as long as you're happy. Okay. So one thing I want to point out here then, so systems for an efficient business. We've talked about software and what works and what doesn't work. And obviously there's so much in there. But we all get stressed when we have to make an awkward or difficult decision. So a system isn't just a piece of software. It's having a standard process. And by having standard processes, it takes the stress out of running a business. So for example, and this example ties in well to a previous example, if a staff member must call before 8 o'clock in the morning, when they were calling in sick, and they text or call after 8 for us, it will be written on their record first time they do it, and it will be spoken to them about it. Then the second time, they'll be reminded again, and they'll be handed a letter of what the expectations are, that you must call, underline call in capital letters, call before 8 o'clock with the phone number. And the third time, they'll be in for a disciplinary interview, which means that when they call in sick and we think that maybe they're lying or their excuse isn't good enough or whatever the reason is, then there's no emotion in about it. I don't have to worry. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to question whether it's true or not. It's just process. And that takes all the stress out of it. Is everyone with me here? Are you already doing these kind of things? Just putting in the process so you don't have to be concerned and worried about it. Does everyone understand this? Have I kept everyone with him? So again, another example, Sophie brought this up. A customer hasn't paid. I'm going to ask you guys, what's the process? Customer hasn't paid you. What are you going to do?
I call them and see if they have received the invoice, if there's any problems with payments.
They're ignoring you now. What are you going to do?
I send emails and I refuse to do any more work as well.
And when you send those emails, how stressful is it writing those emails?
I have actually got into an argument with somebody before, and my head went a little bit, and I shouldn't have done, really.
Okay. If you had templates, would it be easier?
Yeah.
You know, the template is, this is a copy of your contract. This is outlining the part where you've agreed to pay. This is your signature. Pay. Now, yes, of course, you've stopped cleaning. That's great. But a template, so the first demand letter, second templated demand letter, then the letter before action, then the final demand, then you start court proceedings. There's no emotion in there. No one cares. You're just going to go through the process. So when we talk about systems, it's actually your processes as well. And there's no real need at this point. I'm not going to get bogged down in the situation. They haven't paid. I'm going to hand it. Well, I would actually hand it to someone else. But if I had to template it and send out emails, I just press send. I'm going to give you guys another one then. So Lauren, you did it quickly there. You've got a bad review on Google. What are you going to do?
Oh, God. What am I going to do? I would leave a comment, kind of apologising or explaining, I think. I've never had one. I would also contact the customer.
Okay.
Do a bit of customer service.
How emotional is this likely to get for you?
Oh. Well, it shouldn't, should it? But it probably would. It probably would have been emotional.
Okay, how can you get the emotions out of this? Because what we don't want is you distracted from taking all your time. How do you take the emotions out of responding to this bad review? What could you do?
Wait. Don't respond immediately. Sure. I guess you probably would have a template, would you?
Yeah, you can have a template. It's hard because each one's going to be a little bit individual, but yeah, you can have a template. What else could you do? How many of you have partners that totally know better than you? Anyone had that?
Say that out loud, Louise.
They know better than you. They totally don't. Imagine handing the response over to the know-all. You have an oracle next to you, well, they believe they are. Hand it to them and go, you respond to it unemotionally, and you get to go off and have your bath while they do that.
Yeah.
So a lot of us get bogged down because these businesses are our babies. They matter so much. You can just hand this to someone who quite often they know better. Has anyone ever considered that?
No.
Hand the emotional situations away. Does everyone have partners that think they know better?
Yeah, sitting there with his hand up, Louise, when you answer the question.
That's all of us then. So how lucky are all of us that these great, amazing people are there and they know so much. Guys, just do it. I hope they can all hear me. So don't be afraid to, if it is particularly emotional, most of your partners could quite happily write a response. Now, obviously, you might want to check over it before you press send, but they can probably write a pretty unemotional response for you. That's what men are quite good at sometimes. Like, has anyone ever thought about doing this?
To be fair, Martin does do quite a lot for I think he's someone who's stepped back a little bit as well and can see both sides. So
yeah, it's not because they're particularly better, it's because they're not involved. It's not, you could do exactly the same for them. It's not that they've got great skills at responding to a bad review. And Sophie's looking, you will do it for him now. Perfect, guys. So that's what I'd like you to kind of look at, actually systems to take the emotion out of some of these things as well. And lastly, it's my last slide now. So tackle it slowly. So there is no right answer to balance. This balance between the life you want, the balancing, the fun things, the taking time for you, the getting your business right, the putting in your systems, the managing stuff, everything that you have to do. There's no right answer, and worse than that, it's constantly changing. And just when you think you've nailed it, it all changes and you've got to get it all right again. So the best way to tackle this is basically tackle the toughest area one at a time. So whatever you are finding toughest, they normally do one of these a week, whatever you are finding toughest in your business or your home life, just do that one thing. Because the rest of this you can keep juggling, but if you can solve one of the problems, so if one of your problems is a customer hasn't paid and it's really stressing me out, get the template letters and put that system in place so that next time it happens, and hopefully it won't ever happen again, but next time it happens, you know what to do. Or if your planning is just taking forever, put the system in place. Again, I'm just going to talk about my situation. So I am the world's worst. I am brilliant at business. I have a particularly busy life and I can get it all right for about 2 or 3 months. I'm totally motivated. I'm on it. I can cook fantastic, healthy meals for 2 or 3 months. I'm like unstoppable, amazing. And then I basically have to disappear for a few weeks because I burn out. I need to recover. You'll see me just disappear off social media. I just sit there. I'll watch my Netflix. I just disappear. Basically, all businesses just kind of tick along for a little bit. They don't grow. So I get it wrong. I burn brightly for a bit and then fade out for a bit and then come back again. I'm not sure that's the right way to do it. Hopefully it would be much better to have a nice steady pace, but I've not yet mastered that. But the best advice is tackle it slowly. So what's the first area each of you are going to tackle that is a little bit out of control? And since you're top, I'm going to ask Maz because I haven't heard from you for a while. Maz, what's the first one you want to tackle?
Oh, Louise, I still don't know.
You still don't know?
I'm in a state of confusion. There's just so many things that are burning me out.
Pick one.
I can't. I feel under pressure.
Well, wait, one thing that's burning you out.
I think I'm probably going to stop taking on last-minute bookings because that's just making my life very difficult at the moment.
I bet they're the least grateful as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that one thing would probably make a massive difference to you.
Yeah.
Okay, Lauren, you're off. Sophie, what one thing are you going to tackle?
Procedure for sickness, as that is one thing that is really bugging us at the minute. So I need a better policy in place about reporting that they're off and things like that. So it's one thing.
I want to know a big game changer.
Yes.
The biggest game changer that I came across, the best thing ever. So there's 2 big game changers. One, back to work interviews. They are the single biggest game changer. You don't even have to do it face to face. If they have a day off, then you do it from a caring point of view. What was wrong? Let's talk through it. And actually, in 50% of the cases, you can prevent further absences by understanding what's wrong. And you go, what, you were off because of this and you've got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. When were you going to tell me about that? Oh, well, I forgot to tell you. Well, at least now I know that there's a doctor's appointment coming up.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
back-to-back interview. And the other thing is, again, taking the emotion out of it, the Bradford factor. So it measures their sickness and the impact it has on the business. And you then are not telling them off for taking a certain amount of days off or being unreasonable. You are now tracking the patterns of their days off. And so you go, look, you've had 3 individual days off in the last 4 weeks. It's not realistic. If you had 3 consecutive days off, that's fine. But 3 individual days off causes no end of problems. And it's not real. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah.
So they're the 2 that are amazing. But what are you going to do? What's your system?
So I've just started with Bright, so better ways of logging it, I think, so I can actually see and they can see what they're actually doing, because I think when it's just here, there and everywhere, they can't actually see how much time they are taking off. And also it is in their contract that they're meant to call me, but do they ever? And it's always a WhatsApp message, so I need to get stricter on that, really.
Got some bad news. Until you put the first disciplinary in place, nothing will work.
Okay.
I've tried it. When you do that disciplinary and you actually carry out what you're threatening to do, then they'll take you seriously. Up until that point, no one cares. Nothing you do will work. Okay. If you do make it work, let me know. But as yet, I've been unsuccessful in nearly every business until you just do that first disciplinary, and you feel awful when you do it, but kind of has to happen.
Okay.
Sorry. I don't want you to feel like you're failing when you try something. It just doesn't work. And I'm like, it's not going to work, because they've been used to getting away with murder for so long. They're not going to change unless you do something drastic and prove that you are changing, because you're not going to change their behaviour unless you change yours.
No. Okay. Disciplinary is, I'm going to be very busy.
I'll tell you what, you only have to do. So the first thing you do is hand out a letter saying this is your final warning. Anyway, right, I will talk about that at some other point. And Lee, what are you going to do?
I'm currently tackling staff issues because they're just arguing over daft things, and they seem to be thinking that I'm favouring one person over the other, but I'm not. So I'm struggling a little bit with that.
Are you quite close to your staff?
Yeah, I was stupid. I've got my mum and my friend working for me, and it's very difficult.
Do you think there might be some favouring going on?
No, I don't think so. But my mum's getting a bit jealous of my friend, and my friend's thinking she can't tell me if she's upset of anything because it's my mum, and I'm like, I don't care. When I've already said, because it's my mum, it doesn't matter. I'm still quite stern with her, and I still do tell her if she's doing things wrong. But yeah, they're getting jealous of each other, and it's causing like a little bit of friction when they're working together.
When they're working together, or when you're there as well?
When them two are working together. And I had a team meet-up last week. I just took them all bowling and for a meal to try and, pick the morale up a little bit and get them talking again and stop the tension. But they're working again together on Saturday. I'm a little bit nervous about it, but I'm trying to keep them all happy, because if one of them leaves, then I'm going to be left with all this work that needs covering.
Have you tried talking one-on-one to each of them?
Yeah, and it's very difficult because they both have different ideas of each other, and yeah, it's really annoying, because it's like they're grown women at the end of the day, and I shouldn't be sorting them out, but I'm having to.
So you kind of got a couple of options. I'm guessing you've spoken to Bright HR about this. Oh no, you're not Bright HR. You've got a couple of options. This is going to sound really brutal, but what if it's not your problem?
Well, that's what I'm feeling like at the minute. I'm like, I've got my own family problems at home. I've got my own children to look after, and I'm having to sort staff out like their children. It's like, I just don't have time for this. It's just really stupid things. Like,
what if you say, look, stop coming to me with them. This is ridiculous. You can do that.
I don't know. I'm just always wanting to make them happy, because I'm scared if they turn around and leave, I'm going to be stuck with all this work, which I don't want to do and I can't physically do myself. And that's why I'm a bit hesitant of taking more work on as well.
Lee, every time you let them whinge at you about it, they're getting your attention. They're like children, like they want your attention. Every time you kind of give that, you're empowering them to keep doing it. And you're just taking an emotional battering here.
Yeah.
If they're going to leave, it won't be because of this, if that makes sense. If you can't solve this, then I would put those boundaries up. They're going to leave whether you sort of listen to them or not. And if you keep listening to them and not doing anything about it, they're going to feel like you're not listening and you're going to become the bad guy. And in some ways, this is something that I really love. Okay. Teams unite around an idea or a concept or a mutual like or dislike of something. If they all dislike you, right, they actually like each other. If you put the boundaries up and say, I'm not listening to you anymore, I'm not putting up with it, their only option is kind of to sort of whinge at each other and dislike you. In fact, the more bad stuff you do, the better.
Right, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is like the opposite of management advice, isn't it? The more they hate you, they'll like each other.
Yeah, I think I'm trying a bit hard to keep them happy, and I'm always texting to check that they're okay. And I'm like, why am I texting them to ask them if they're okay? And like, yeah, I don't know.
So I say this on the groups and people hate me. So I think of it a bit like dating. If you were dating or getting together with someone and you text them, go, hi, how are you? Did you enjoy the date? Do you like me? Oh gosh, I wonder what's going on. How much do they value you? It's kind of a bit of a basic rule, isn't it? Don't kind of pester people and make yourself sort of at their beck and call, because they'll stop valuing you and they'll quickly dump you. You know, people want to work for strong leaders, and at the moment, you're not acting like that.
I'm trying to in a way, but I don't want to upset them. I know it's bad, but yeah, I think, I'm scared of losing them and then having all this work. And I'm like, I've got a newborn. I can't go and physically do it all myself. Whereas I used to be able to, but I can't now. So I depend on them a lot more. So I think I'm trying to just keep them happy.
Lee, I've got to say, I've been in the same situation. I put up with all kinds of things when it's not been at a suitable time for me. I'm like, oh goodness, I would just put up with it, because you're right. You've got to get to the kind of point where you can do something about it. So yeah, with all the advice in the world, it only works. You can only be mean if you can risk losing it, and you can't.
Yeah, I know. So that's the thing I need to sort out. I think it'll take a while.
Oh, well, good luck. Right, guys, that's the end. I'm off to go and learn a cheerleading routine. So thank you very much. Has this been useful?
Yes, very. Thank you, Louise.
Has there been much balance regained?
I think it makes things clearer, definitely clearer.
Okay. Right, guys, I'm going to run off. Love to see you all, and hopefully speak to you very, very soon. I don't know what the next one is. There's another one of these in a week's time. I know it's a good one, but I can't remember what it is. But I should promote that. But lovely to see you all.